start streaming. I'm not recording yet, but welcome back to the Eurozone broadcast. If you're joining us live, good for you. Thanks for being here. And we have a packed agenda today, as always. Any good news that we can share before we get into the world ending?
Yeah, there's some good news, I guess, with the Iran war. We're going to get into it, right? But at least something positive is that some of the more weak parts of the empire did get exposed, like the soft spots.
Yeah.
So that is something positive, but we have to see it in the broader context, but we will get into that.
Yeah, there's one of the most powerful things you can do when there's a bully in the school or a mafia group in your town, or in this case, an empire.
A global mafia.
A global mafia called NATO. One thing you can do is, or one of the strongest things you can do is to prove to people that it's possible to stand up to that mafia. Once you poke holes in their veneer of total power, total control, you instantly set an example for other people to be like, maybe I don't have to live under the rule because it's possible to resist. So that's the main thing.
So that is something positive.
Yeah, we have a little.
We have to take what we get. That's it.
Anything else? I guess there's a flotilla now going to Cuba from the US. I know Hassan Piker's gonna be on there, so I hope he doesn't die.
There was a blackout for a couple of days on Cuba,
or a week now.
For the week now.
Yeah. And now they got it back up and running. There is a Russian oil tanker heading to Cuba as well. The last one was not allowed to enter by the US. Maybe this one is allowed to. I don't know. There is also Mexico has said they're gonna start sending aid, even though the Americans threatened them and said you can absolutely not do that.
This was also something that changed some perspective for me, at least. That I was thinking, the US will probably not bomb Mexico for doing this. They will not go ham on Mexico.
Who knows?
I don't think so, but they could still, because they are completely unpredictable. Yeah. But actually, a country like Mexico is one of the biggest threats to the USA because they actually border it, and most countries don't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And they've destabilized it a lot with these cartels and so on. But he has done some of the same propaganda work that he did to justify the Venezuela invasion. The Nicaragua invasion, that's another story that we're not going to talk about today, but that's just, a side note. The US invaded Nicaragua.
Recently, or you mean
a week ago?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even...
Exactly, it just flew under the radar.
Doesn't register.
I read it on like one or two super left sites, and that was it.
Damn.
Because it was in the middle of the Iran war, everything, like oil prices were going through the roof, and of course, boom, they invade Nicaragua. So he's laying down the same propaganda groundwork to invade Mexico. He's also saying that they're involved in cocaine trafficking and blah blah blah. So he definitely has some interest, but hopefully that's just not within his focus right now. Hopefully he's too occupied in Iran to do something like that. Yeah.
I mean, they probably do have capabilities to strike Middle America quite easily, even with most of their assets spread out through Asia and the Middle East. Because it's just so close. Yeah, that's so easy.
We're gonna get into that in a bit. But the American military, like what we've seen on the weak side, is that they have very little defensive capabilities. Actually, well, they are world class and they're very impressive. But they're nothing compared to a cheap drone, a swarm after swarm of cheap drones, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, they have almost infinite attacking power and bombardment power. So they definitely have enough bombs to bomb Iran and Mexico at the same time, let's say. Kind of like Israel, they've been bombing 7 countries for the last 2 years, and they still have plenty of bombs. So clearly they're coming from somewhere.
Yeah, if you have 600 fighter jets, you have some, some spare capabilities.
You know where the majority of the TNT used for Israeli weapons comes from?
Was it Poland?
Poland,
right?
Bingo. The Polish.
It got me thinking, by the way. I saw this very short news item, and I didn't check on it. But they said some Elbit system factory in the Czech Republic got burned down.
Yeah, they burnt it down.
Nice.
And they spray painted.
Well done.
Yeah, there's Eastern Europe had like 3 or 4 consecutive headlines like that coming out recently.
But Czechia is Central Europe. But
yeah, I mean,
even Poland is Central Europe, right?
You know, that line between where north here.
Europe isn't even a continent, so I mean,
Eurasia, right?
Yeah.
No, but there was a comedian who had a very good way of putting it, like where the line is, right? I think there was someone in the crowd who was like, I don't know if I'm East or West Europe. Said, okay, let's find out. When you go to the bathroom, do you leave the building and go to a separate structure, or is the bathroom inside of the main house structure?
Okay.
Apparently, that's the main way to determine whether or not you're in East or Western Europe. Yeah. I was gonna say something political, like, or your taxes go to Israel, but I think that's both sides actually.
Enough on both sides.
Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna talk about the Iran war, what Israel is doing in Lebanon, also what they're doing in Palestine, just as one segment. Then we're gonna jump into the gemeente election results. So if you are Dutch or European, you might be interested in knowing how the Dutch voted in their local elections on Wednesday. And then we're gonna have a guest on, Martina, who is a labor activist here in the Netherlands. She's also a doctor, and she's gonna come explain a little bit. She's gonna come talk about why the healthcare system is so bad. And you're also a doctor, so maybe that will be hopefully that'll be very interesting.
Good.
Yeah. I'm not sure any other good news before we start. I think there's another flotilla going to Gaza again here in the spring.
Yeah, I mean, it's been some time coming. They've been organizing for some time, but I don't see a lot of posts on it.
Yeah, not yet, right?
It feels like it's either or suppressed, or there's no enthusiasm for it at all.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think around the world. No, not really, right? That's the only. Okay, so that was the positive segment. Now let's get into the negative stuff. Okay, I'm gonna start recording here. The war in Iran is escalating on all fronts, creating global supply chain shocks and involving a lot more militaries than we had just a few weeks ago. Now, there is a very split view. There is obviously the right wing, the MAGA movement in the US, the pro-NATO Andes, who are very convinced that the Strait of Hormuz is going to be opened soon, that Iran is about to collapse, that the people are going to overtake the regime. Although that one they've almost given up on, on that narrative. But in any case, that the American-Israeli coalition is going to win a resounding victory, and that this is going to be good for all of the people of the West, right? That this is going to somehow reduce oil prices after the war is done, that this is going to bring peace in the Middle East, and that this will be the last war we ever have to fight.
The war to end all wars. I've never heard that
all
before.
All wars. Exactly. So many people are saying this sentence, like from all different. Yeah,
I didn't hear it before, but it's crazy. It's like
straight out
proof of a total lack of historic.
How many? I mean, I think like the Crusades. I was just thinking how many people throughout history have had someone tell them we're gonna go to war, and this is the one.
Yeah,
this is the war to end all wars, and it never happens.
And I think the biggest one would be World War One.
Yeah, right? World War One, World War Two, which
was supposed to be the war to end all of them.
Yeah, it never does. On the other hand, or on the other extreme side, you have the anti-imperialists like us, but I have a disagreement with them, because the anti-imperialists have been raging about how this war will be the end of the American-Israeli empire, and that there is no way for the Americans to win. Iran is going to come out on top, and when they do, they will kick the Israelis and Americans out of the Middle East, and kind of similar to how the extreme right is saying that this will somehow end all wars, because this will be the end of the American empire. But I happen to disagree, because the way that things are unfolding, I hate to be the doom and gloom guy, but I do think we should take a serious look at how terrible this is really going for all of the people in the Middle East, and the unfortunate fact that Israel and America can win this, most likely will win this.
It depends what you call winning. But
exactly, but according to their own goals, right? I think the American people, the European people, the Israeli people will continue to suffer, and we will have less and less in our societies. We will have less healthcare, less social programs. We'll have more bombs, more of our kids dying in war. But the people on top who are leading this project, they will achieve all of their goals, mainly the complete destruction of Iran. That's at least what I'm seeing.
They will go for as much destruction as possible, and then just try to negotiate as much concessions as possible.
Yeah,
and that will be winning.
I think it might go further. I think they will see a full collapse of the Iranian regime, and I think they will balkanize it or install some sort of Iraq-like regime. Like, I don't know if we've talked about this before on the stream, but in Iraq, the current government there is a complete American puppet, and they are forced. So all of the oil they sell, right? Immediately, the money they receive for that oil is stored directly in a bank account in Wall Street. So they don't see their own money when they make a sale of their own oil, their national oil reserves.
And then they get 10% or something.
And then they fly the money in cash, in American US dollars in cash, to Iraq, and then they spread it out, and they lose like 50% of the money on the way. And whatever is then, those US dollars that arrive in Iraq, whatever happens to that is also a mystery because it's cash. And the only reason why you would set something like that up is if you need a cash funnel to a bunch of destabilizing forces in the Middle East. So I mean, Iraq is kind of similar to Gaza in a way too now, right? Where there's so many just criminal organizations that are actually running the show. It's an absolute mafia in the most classic sense of the word. It's criminal. And I think you could see. I think the goal for Iran is the same. And anyone who thinks that Iran is going to miraculously be able to defeat the biggest empire the world has ever seen, I think we should learn a bit from history, because Iraq itself had the same narrative going at some point. There's been so many countries in the last 50 years that we thought would be the end of the American empire, where we thought the American empire would go to die, but every single time, like we saw in Iraq, the Americans kind of get their way. There
are some historic parallels, right, with the Roman Empire, especially since the American Empire is at the apex of that. They have the biggest sphere of influence that they ever had. Now they're battling on the border where their sphere of influence ends, which is near Iran. They have an inferior enemy, just like the Romans. They have beautiful shields, beautiful swords made of the best iron, blah, 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 blah. But in the end, like the barbarians...
They won.
They did win in some way. A lot of barbarians died and a lot of people got killed, and it took a lot of time. But the empire, for some reason, couldn't stop, apparently. And they walked into a trap that eventually cost them.
I mean, it's you have like just to give the anti-imperialists some credit, I absolutely do believe that eventually the contradictions or the issues in the American Empire will lead to its collapse, right? The Roman Empire, the main thing that led to its collapse is that the elites and the wealthy stopped paying taxes. When you look at it from a purely economic point of view, you were unable to run the Roman Empire because nobody wanted to fund it anymore. So everybody wanted the spoils of war, and the generals and the whole institutionalization of warfare also created a constant demand and need for war, right? War became an integral part of the economy, just like we're seeing in the US. So the war continued, but the tools and the organization of the army got worse and worse because there was no funding, because everyone wanted to extract value from the empire without contributing at all. And we're reaching that point with the US, so it will collapse at some point, but not yet.
You do have to realize for the Ottoman Empire as well, we know that was so long before the Ottoman Empire fell that they reached their apex. And their fall started, and it took more than 100 years.
Exactly.
So
don't get tricked just because theory dictates that the American Empire will fall. Does not mean that
it's going to be next year.
And it doesn't mean that we don't have work to do. Right.
If there's something, right, then Iran exposing the weaknesses of the empire should embolden us to keep going and to keep doing pushing what we're doing.
But you should not get this false sense of safety that Iran will be the trigger that fully collapses it. These like the US suffers from the same problems, and they still they're addicted to war, but that can keep going for a long time, or maybe even hundreds of years if we don't, the people living in the core of the empire, if we don't stand up and stop it, because that's a far preferable outcome. And then the empire can actually continue. Like our society could continue if we just stop relying on the war industry as the main mechanism of driving this empire forward.
And a lack of money itself is not going to be the issue as long as the petrodollar exists.
It's about resources, right? Like money is just a way. Money is just the construct that we have to extract labor from people and resources from countries, right? And there's other ways of doing that. You can do slavery plus military, and you can use the military to extract resources and slavery to extract labor. So you can keep going in those sort of ways, right? You can do you can make it mandatory to serve in the military and then have the military do the labor, like there's ways around it.
Money is not going to be the factor that's going to stop them. Even if they announce they're going to invest 200 billion, which is an insane amount, it's nothing to them. It's just a number. And they can even, there's some theories out there that Trump is going to completely leave behind the US dollar and then jump over to a new sort of currency that might be digital, might not be, and that is backed by gold. So going back to the gold reserve days. There's a lot of tricks, and they've done that twice before in history already, where they changed what backs the US dollar. So they have a lot of tricks up their sleeve that they can still use. But let's look quickly at the situation in Iran. The leaders, the commanders, the head of intelligence, all of them just keep getting assassinated, one after the next. And look, there was a lot of talk before this war started that decapitation would not work in Iran because they have a mosaic defense system, and that they've already prepared 3 or 4 layers of replacements for all of the leaders. But as we discussed last time, the Americans have killed all 3 and 4 layers of those replacements. So at some point you are cutting so deep that you actually kind of lose the main thought leaders of your movement. And not only thought leaders but also strategists. So there is a limit. Decapitation is finding one guy. But if you found the 2,000 people most influential in your society, and you kill all of them, all of a sudden you're actually depleting the country of elite circles. It's like a brain drain through killing. And also personality type is also important, right? So you can replace someone, but if you see what's keeping the Iranian military and the state going, it's that they're very patient and they measure their response. But once you get people who are more impatient or they are more aggressive and they start doing impulsive stuff, then that's gonna undercut the whole strategy.
And we've kind of seen some of that already, right? Where I think they hit energy infrastructure in Qatar or something, or they hit an oil tanker. This was pretty early on in the war. And then the government came out and said, this was not on purpose, this was not ordered. This was one of our mosaic defense strategy in play, where they thought, we have the full command and control to do our own operations without getting instructions from the head of government. So they went ahead and did some attacks that were not approved by the government, which kind of counteracts the whole narrative around Iran's mosaic defense strategy, because on one hand you're saying, oh, they're going to be able to defeat the Americans because they don't need commands in order, to go out and do their military missions. But on the other hand, you're saying you're apologizing when that happens, because then you all of a sudden have an uncoordinated response.
And there were some other signs as well when seeing how the missiles were fired, that actually there was central command in orchestrating these missile effects with attacks, which, yes, obviously, because without any central command, it's going to be impossible. But the idea that all of the elements can operate separately and independently is just not true.
Yeah.
And when communication lines between different factions within a military start to break down, it does a lot of times affect the whole effectiveness of an army as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. You need, like, over-reliance on bureaucracy will be the death of any military, right? If you are, if you're over-reliant on a command chain, so that can be a problem. But having no command chain also means that you need to be able to coordinate between all factions of the military.
Yeah.
So it has to be efficient, and the solution is not getting rid of the command chain as a whole. And then you're in this difficult situation, because as soon as then you put someone in that command chain, they get murdered by the US and Israel.
And if they don't get murdered, they're probably a Mossad asset.
There you go. No, yeah. So and then you have all the infiltrants, and so it's a very, very difficult thing for the Iranians to stand up to this empire. Yeah.
They are doing a great job. They are doing better than I could have imagined, than I could have hoped. But it's still, they don't have the cards, right?
Yeah.
They are the underdog. So
yeah, and I have to say, I don't often like to talk about the internal politics of Iran, because I feel like that's none of my business. My business is where are my tax, where's my tax money going, and is it beneficial for me and the people in my society to be bombing people in Iran? And the answer is no. But if you do want to look deeper at Iranian politics and society, they obviously have this elite establishment within their country, like you have in any country, and this elite circle in Iran is very much split into two camps, and I want to highlight this. You have the conservative and the liberal camp, and much like the rest of the world, neither of them are truly communist, neither of them are anti-capitalist, and neither of them are truly anti-imperialist. The conservatives happen to be a little more anti-imperialist, in the sense that, so they both agree, both the conservatives and the liberal elites in Iran agree in implementing capitalism, agree in neoliberal reforms, and agree that they should stay on top in this political, in this economic arrangement, and that they need to open the borders so that they can be part of the global economic world, economic system, so that the internal capitalist structure can become stronger. Right? Having a blockade on Iran has made it very hard for these capitalist families to continue. The only difference is that the liberals want to do that by agreeing with the American demands, and the more conservative ones want to do that without ever capitulating to the Americans, because they have a slight anti-imperial sense, right? And all of this to say that there is the largest proportion of the Iranian elites are actually quite desperate to make a deal with the Americans, because it would benefit them. And the hardliners who are truly anti-imperial, or who once upon a time were with the communists, the first real, the only ever prime minister of Iran who was democratically elected was a social democrat, almost communist. This branch of Iranian society is barely there anymore. And that also means that I don't know how much energy they really have, political energy they really have to continue this fight for weeks, months, years ahead. Yeah.
I do have one thing to add to the good news.
Yeah.
I mean, I was surprised that many of the European countries said, no, we're not gonna be involved in a mission in Hormuz.
I thought they would get involved.
Yeah.
I mean,
they might still.
The Lufthansa is in Israel. That's been confirmed.
The what?
The Lufthansa, not Lufthansa. Fuck. The German Luft Air Brigade. Air Force.
From the army.
I said Lufthansa. Right?
Yeah. They are civilian. Yeah.
No, the German Air Force is in Israel. And the Brits, I think, are more or less involved, but probably more intelligence.
The Brits are kind of involved for sure. They are. But the other countries don't want to get involved so much. The Netherlands sent one ship to Cyprus to support the French, but I mean, I also read that the cannon on that ship wasn't even working.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just like some kind of appeasement strategy to be like, oh, we're sending a ship.
Yeah. No, I think overall, in general, we can be quite happy that the Europeans are not super happy to join.
Yeah.
But they're also not really talking against Trump, I would say. So it's more honestly a move of cowardice, right? That, you know, we don't want to upset the Americans, but we also don't want to risk our lives fighting with the Americans. And so we're stuck in this position.
But it's better than joining. So
yeah, for sure. But that's kind of I think I wanted to make one more point on Iran. So the missiles, the barrage of missiles that they're firing towards Israel. The Americans again are claiming that 90% of their missile stockpile and launching sites have been destroyed. That's why they're barely sending any more missiles. The anti-imperialists are saying Iran is just getting started. I swear next week we're gonna see double the amount of missiles.
Yeah.
In 1 month from now they're gonna send 1,000 missiles.
The truth is somewhere in the middle.
Exactly.
In this case, for sure.
Exactly. I think a lot of their launching sites have probably been destroyed. I mean, it makes sense to launch those ballistic missiles. You need large systems, and those can be detected and taken out by the Americans. They're still sending some missiles, but it is less than at the start of the war. And what you see is that their missiles are quite effective at destroying American bases. So the Americans have quite a weak defense that's now been exposed. And what the Americans are lacking, the Israeli Americans are lacking, is the interceptors, right? That stop the Iranian missiles. But on the other hand, the Americans are not lacking in bombs to drop on Iran.
Yeah.
So it's the same, sort of system. If you want to look at the Israel-Gaza war that we had at some point, it became a genocide quite fast. The Israeli defense was shown to be quite weak in the sense that you can penetrate even from Gaza into Israel. You can send a bunch of rockets and the missiles will intercept them.
Even the Hamas rockets.
Even the
went
tiny
through
Hamas rockets.
The Iron Dome. Yeah.
Exactly. But Israel was able to bomb Gaza for 2 years continuum. Even now, almost 3 years they're bombing them. And had enough bombs for a genocide. And that supply chain never stopped. It is a near infinite amount of TNT that they can just drop on a country.
Yeah.
Right?
It's so much easier, right? If you want to drop a bomb, you just have some explosives and you hang them on a plane and you drop them. Yeah. And if you don't care about the civilians, you don't have to be precise at all. So they don't have to be so high tech. They do have a lot of high tech attack missiles as well, but they don't have to be. So they could easily also scale up the production and just make more rudimentary old type of bombs and they would be fine.
Yeah. So, and the issue with that is, like if you're looking, I don't know how to explain this because like the anti-imperialists are so excited about the Iranian missiles getting through. But if you look at the overall damage and ignore how it happened, the result is that, yes, some American bases in the region are damaged. Some ships, oil tankers from the American coalition got damaged. Yes, some places in Tel Aviv got bombed.
Yeah.
But it is nothing compared to the damage that the Americans have done in Iran.
Yeah.
They have killed 10 times more people. Yeah. They have bombed 100 times as many places.
Yeah.
And the Iranian military installations.
I mean, we don't know for sure, but we can assume for sure that they did.
Yeah. No, I would say I'm quite confident.
Yeah.
John Elmer from Electronic Intifada.
They're just bombing everything that they ever suspected to be some kind of military
and they can
place.
do it because they have that air superiority.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the ballistic missile will never compare to an F-16 refueling mid-air, bombing. Like it's a whole different system.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily, if you don't care about civilian life, you also don't need the defense, right? All you need is a tanker, an aircraft carrier that the Iranians cannot hit, somewhere out in the distance with enough range, and then you just fly in, you bomb, and fly out, and you keep doing that forever. And that's how the Israelis have won a bunch of wars.
I guess the biggest wins for Iran are the fact that they are able to close the Strait of Hormuz, and I do find it hard to imagine a situation where the US can easily get control of the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy. Then there's just the 600 NATO personnel fleeing from Iraq, which is kind of a win. Just the dent that they put in the image of invincibility and the deterrence capability, and I guess also the influence it has on the civilians that live in the Gulf area that may put pressure or rise up. And then there's just hitting the morale of the average Israeli, because yes, they do have some morale left and the willingness to fight and the concentration, etc. But it can deteriorate quite fast, I think, because Israelis aren't used at all to being uncomfortable. They aren't used to spending weeks in bomb shelters. And their morale will give in quite easily at some point.
Yeah, I would say like it's clear to me that the economic dent will be huge. But again, economic dent is something that affects people like you and me, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for us to afford things because gas prices and oil prices have gone up. But oil prices going up benefits the oil companies, which are in government. The elites. It benefits the war industry, who are going to make a bunch of money from this, and it benefits the financial elite because they are betting and making a bunch of money when it goes up and when it goes down. So all of the people in power are actually going to get richer off of this,
probably.
And if you're looking at it from their perspective, this is just another win. It really is. You and I will suffer, but they won't. Right.
And for example, like the Eilat harbor in Israel that has been declared bankrupt, for example. I mean, this is just a fiscal reality, right? Once the wars end, they will just restart this port in one day. And it will be back on track. So exactly. This has no permanent consequences whatsoever.
Exactly. So we have to be very careful with
celebrating these kind of wins that aren't really wins, because they are temporary and the wrong people are profiting from it.
Sorry, I'm gonna quickly check. We have a few comments here from Pete, who is a past guest in our show, but he dropped a few comments here on the live stream. If you're joining us live, by the way, thanks for coming. If you're watching the recorded version, we do live streams every Saturday. We're a fully independent show. We're going to continue with the news in Iran, but I just wanted to jump in and do some self-promo real quick. We don't get funding from anyone. We do this purely for the love of the game. We don't even take donations from the fans or advertisement or anything like that. So please stick around if you enjoy what we say. What are we saying here? But Ukraine sent drones to Iran to support the US. Yeah, that's true. That's also an interesting one, right? Ukraine is now really outing themselves as a full NATO, full Israel ally. Yeah. And then we say
ally, bootlicker,
cock.
Cock.
Yeah. Pete also says the US spends millions on missiles, where Iran uses around 50k missiles to defend against those. So that disproportion of like, again, the Iranians are sending $50,000 Shahed drones to Israel and the American bases, and the Americans are shooting them down with THAAD missile interceptors, which cost like $2 million each. But again, that's on the defensive side. That has nothing to do with the very cheap bombs that the Americans are dropping all over Iran. And the Americans don't. Trump has come out and said, "Yeah, you lose people when you do warfare. If a few soldiers die, it's okay." The thumbnail of this live stream, by the way, is in one of the American caskets of the soldiers coming home.
Nice,
because that is an expected part of American military. They don't care. So it's not about defense. America's far away. Worst case scenario, Israel gets bombed, and Israelis die. But even that is okay for the Americans. They can, as long as they can fly in and bomb Iran, they still have the upper hand in this fight. So yeah. But thanks for joining, Pete. And
you did see the Lord Farquaad meme as well, right?
No, I didn't see this one.
We're gonna go to war. Some of you may die, but I'm willing to make that sacrifice.
Exactly. That's the whole. That's how it's going right now. Right? Yeah. Are we going to see a boots on the ground invasion? Potentially. That's really when the war goes from being purely about air superiority to actual boots on the ground, like to real military fighting. That's where you can see a lot of losses on the American side as well.
The Americans would be really stupid if they did that. But
they might not do it because Trump actually kind of, I don't want to say to his credit, but he understands that boots on the ground is a bit disastrous. So he wanted to do a Venezuela-style coup, but it failed in Iran. But I don't know if that necessarily means it's going to go full boots on the ground. I think they're very comfortable just bombing from the sky.
This is also part of the propaganda maybe right now, right? It's painting America and Trump in this image that what they're doing is completely stupid already. Like they have no real reason, like they have no chance of winning. When that's also so much underestimating them, right? They know exactly why they are doing this,
of course.
And it is strategic for them. And they are gonna profit from this.
As I keep saying, like all of the things that is being presented to us in the media as massive hits to the Americans are not hits. The oil price going up, Trump and all his friends are becoming billionaires off of that. And they're making billions more in profit. Russia now making more money. I think some of the Russian oligarchs have been with the Western elites for a long time. We see that thanks to the Epstein files, What else? The American base is getting hit. They don't care. That's just another contract to rebuild. That's another $2 billion contract to the same lobbyists and elites in the American circles. And they don't economy suffering. Who the fuck cares?
They don't give up. They love that. They are gonna profit of it.
It's a softer blow when we need to take Greenland. There is none of the things that are supposedly detrimental to the American empire are really detrimental to the people in charge of the empire, to the people on top of that empire.
We in Europe are suffering from high oil prices, by the way, because we are one of the biggest net importers of these kind of resources.
But I think we made that point quite clear. I just want to say, not wrap it up here, but just to show you that this is a repeating pattern. I mean, if we look at Palestine and Gaza, this is the first place that Israel victimized, and they have completely decimated the Palestinian people. The people in Jerusalem right now cannot even go to the mosque because they have, for the first time in I don't know how many 600 years or something, the mosque has been closed for Eid. So today is Eid, or yesterday was Eid.
I think it's 3 days, right?
Yeah, so today is Eid.
I'm not 100% sure as well, but I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is. So today is Eid, and the Palestinians have lost the right to go to the mosque and celebrate Eid. So on a fundamental level, the Palestinians have lost. And this is not to shame the Palestinians. They did a lot, right? It is more.
They did more than anyone can imagine.
They did everything.
Standing after 100 years of the most brutal colonization is
80 years.
If you start from the British, then it's 100,
even longer. But this is another point I wanted to make. Israel was founded 80 years ago. Next year will be their 80th birthday. And in 80 years, that's not even that's like the average human lifespan. In one generation, they went from not existing to getting all of Palestine, parts of Syria, All of Gaza just handed over to them a few months ago.
Yeah.
And now it looks like they're going to get half of Lebanon. And all of the regimes around them have disappeared.
Yep.
Anyone in the region in the last 80 years that could in any way oppose them have disappeared, right? You have Libya, which is no more, Syria, which is no more, Iraq, which is no more, Egypt, which is completely neutralized. You know, Egypt and Jordan actually used to both
you
fight.
you did list Jordan,
Yeah.
because they've been neutralized for so long.
Exactly. Egypt and Jordan used to go to war
Yeah.
against Israel, and
Yeah.
now neither of them do, and
No.
they're both completely neutralized and part of this American cuck circle, right?
Yeah.
Turkey is barely relevant. They have this huge
Yeah.
military, but they stand there in between, and they say a few things.
If they were relevant, they would have had more
They would have
influence
bombed
on Syria. Well, at least in Syria, they would have more influence than they
Yeah.
have now. It's not really,
No.
how do you say, significant.
Yeah. Palestine, just to once again, like it went from an apartheid state to now being a concentration camp.
Yeah.
Lebanon is about to go, which
Yep.
was another bastion of resistance. So what is it really to add Iran to this list?
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking at the last 80 years of Israel's existence, you would be a fool to say that Iran will not fall like the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
This is the truth. This is the most likely
I
outcome.
mean, they might not fall, but it's highly likely that they might.
Yeah. The most likely outcome is that they fall.
It just depends how much the Americans and the Israelis are willing to sacrifice as well.
Yeah.
Right. If the cost is too high, there may be some point where they give up. But otherwise, if they just keep going, they will make Iran fall for sure.
Yeah. And I listed 10 countries to you there. And I want to highlight that every one of those 10 countries that we destabilized and then bombed into obliteration and then now is a failed state, every one of those countries at the time when we were in the midst of it, everyone was saying the same shit, that this will be the end of the Western Empire, that this is disrupting the global economy. You know, it's always like Libya has 1/3 of the, or like is the fifth biggest country in terms of natural gas reserves. You know, like there's always that narrative that doing this is detrimental to the economy. The American military cannot win by just bombing, and then they do, because the goals of the empire are different from the goals of the people in the empire. Right? This is the key thing. And last thing, even if you want to look at the real leaders of the empire, the real elites, Professor Zhang has made it very popular now. This idea that hubris will kill the American empire, that the overconfidence that the American empire
and
has.
that is probably true, right? That is what kills empires, but when is a different question.
And he has this very nice way of breaking down what you need to actually win a war. And what he says is you need three things, right? You need a population who has cohesion. So that means that within this group, we don't have infighting, because that just it's hard to fight a war against someone if you're also fighting against yourself. Then you have energy, so motivation basically. Do you have a spiritual motivation, a religious motivation? That tends to help a lot. And the last one is focus. Are you able to focus that energy and that cohesion into concrete goals that everyone can agree on? I think, if you turn on CNN and Fox News, you will get an idea that Western people are completely splintered and that we are in 100 different factions. But the elites at the top have a lot of class solidarity for each other. They have a lot of cohesion in the top 1%. Right? They have a lot of focus and they have a lot of energy, and so do the Israelis. Israeli society is all on the same page. 80%, 90% are in favor of genocide in Gaza. Explicitly with those terms. Genocide in Gaza, yes, 90% want it. All of them agree on bombing Iran. All of them have the energy to go serve in the IDF. And all of them have the focus to achieve these goals that I just listed to you, one country after the next. Because they all have a joint vision of a greater Israel. So their resolve, their energy, their cohesion, their focus is at top levels. And nothing has disrupted
for now it is, but I think it is vulnerable. But
it is vulnerable, but no one has put a real dent in it yet.
No.
And I think that also takes some internal work, right? And the last thing I would say is just that the bombing power of the US, we keep going back to this, but it might actually match their hubris. They act as if they can bomb anyone in the world, but that is because they can.
They can.
They can, and they are. Yeah. They are.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do have to point out, right, the hypocrisy or the blind stupidity of all these right-wing PVV voting people that are supporting this war.
Yeah.
And meanwhile complaining about the refugees. And now we have 1 million people internally displaced in Lebanon. I want to invite all of them who want to come. There's room in the garden of Wilders and also in the garden of Yesogus. Apparently they wanted you to come, so feel free.
Geert Wilders wants you to come to the Netherlands.
Yeah, the gates are wide open.
Yeah.
So
NATO is very happy to bomb Lebanon, creating refugees, and we're one of the closest countries to them.
So then go ahead. Feel free to come.
Both in terms of geography and history, Lebanon is right there. They're almost our cousins. So come here.
I mean, could you imagine if, how it went with Syria when 1 million Syrians moved out of Syria into Europe?
Yeah.
If that would happen now.
No, it will happen. Of course, it will happen.
It's gonna happen, but it's gonna take a little bit more time.
Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait. I mean, where do you think all of these people are going to go when Israel just brings war to them?
But they are going to be expats, not refugees.
There's a difference, I think.
Yeah.
Depends how much money you make, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also this line. So if it's not hubris, then there's another idea going around that the end of the American-Israeli empire will be that Israel and the US have different priorities and different outcomes that they want, right? And that eventually these two will break up and this infighting will lead to the end of the empire. But I would say so far we haven't seen that.
No, they are playing it up right now, acting like, no, the Israelis were going to bomb, but we didn't agree, but we had to bomb because they bombed.
We had to do it. And,
But, I mean, we shouldn't take this seriously at all. This is just for show.
Yeah. But my sort of view on that is, for now, Israel and the US have acted in complete coordination, have a complete unified front, and the Israelis don't have to defeat the Americans, because Professor Jang says, eventually Israel will have to defeat the Americans somehow and go to war against the Americans. But I'm like, take a step back. Why would Israel need to go to war against the Americans when they control all of America? If they have already infiltrated the elite circle so much that they can, through corruption and through all of these unofficial routes to power, have complete control of the American elites, why would you ever need to fight them? You're already in the same cause. The American elites have also convinced themselves of Zionism. The American elites love Zionism, so why would you need to fight them,
But I mean, in the end, the Americans did throw the Tea Party for the British at some point as well, so it can happen. But I think this colonial relationship is a different type than the one that England had to the 13 colonies. But it is a possibility, but it seems different.
I think it's easier for them just to sit at the top and benefit from the American empire existing rather than collapsing it and taking their place.
And also Israel is so dependent on the US for its survival that it's hard to imagine that they would not align with them. It's I don't know, it's hard to imagine.
The last thing I have to add is that some people are saying that this all ends with Israel using a nuclear weapon.
I do think that's very likely, actually.
And you have to understand what I'm saying here, right? Is that if Israel uses a nuclear weapon, my whole theory kind of stops there. Because at that point, they will officially be recognized as a superpower in the world. And what that means in our current establishment, in our current world order, if you have nuclear weapons that are internationally recognized, you get to do whatever the fuck you want to any country that does not have nukes. And no one can stop you.
Yeah.
This is the official way that the world works. So that means that Israel could go and take any land from any country around them that they want, and no one can stop them because then they will nuke them.
Yeah.
Right? That's how America works.
So they might throw a nuke not even for like a legitimate war goal, but just to show,
to establish, hey guys, we are now in the G7.
Yeah.
We are now as important as the US, China, Russia.
Yeah.
We're at that level.
Yeah.
We are a global superpower, which means that we will be treated as such. No one can attack us, and if they do, we bomb, we nuke them. That's how Russia gets away with invading Ukraine. That's how China, if they wanted to, could invade, Korea, Taiwan. They can do whatever they want because they have nukes. That's how North Korea gets away with being so anti-American and never getting invaded. And that's how Europe gets away with being Europe, right? You can't attack a country once they have nukes. And, we've played this limbo with Israel. Do they have nukes? Do they not have nukes?
They have them. We know
they have them, but now they are starting to admit it. And once they officially claim or proclaim in public, we have nukes, it is actually a completely different world at that point. Because then there is no resisting, right? Thanks for joining our very positive outlook on the world. Make sure you guys stay cheerful in your private lives, I guess. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Stop recording. There we go. I have one more topic that I want to look at, which is the gemeente, before we have a guest. So I think we should just jump into it. Let's wait for this recording. What did Pete say in the crowd? Ukraine when boots on the ground, and then tongue emoji.
What does that mean?
Because we were bootlicking, right? So whenever Ukraine sees boots on the ground, they're ready to lick the boot.
This is one of my favorite new comments that I sometimes put on LinkedIn when I see when I see bootlickers.
Yeah,
I will ask them, what's your favorite kind of boot, leather or rubber? Or your favorite taste of boot, leather or rubber?
Oh my god, that's quite good.
No, it's bad, but
no, I enjoy that. I enjoy that. Yeah. I'm gonna start. Yeah. On LinkedIn as well. You're a demon for LinkedIn. Like,
my god, I'm the worst on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is supposed to be a safe space for corporate hell. Like, what? Why are you infiltrating that?
Because it's so sanitized. Right?
You have to. It makes you want to provoke it a bit, right?
There have to be some people on there as well who don't hold back, who don't consider like, my boss is gonna fire me for what I put on LinkedIn. I'm lucky enough to be in a position to not worry about that, so I'm gonna use it.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. Amazing. All right, let's jump into the next one. There we go. Wait, let me try again. The local elections in the Netherlands have just concluded. They were hosted last Wednesday, and the outcomes show a very interesting story. One thing is for sure, the centrists are losing power, and people are running towards more local parties, radical left parties, but also radical right parties. I want to highlight what that means in Amsterdam. The capital, that is also where we are broadcasting from, and to kind of give a little message of hope amidst a lot of the extreme left feeling a bit discouraged, I imagine, since we did not make significant gains in this election. So let's pull up the map here, right? We have map of the Netherlands with all of the different gemeentes. Gemeente is just a municipality.
Yeah.
And
I was having kind of a look at which gemeentes the PVV is the biggest in.
Yeah, that's the blue one.
Yeah, and I was thinking like up top, maybe it's Ter Apel, the one where the refugee center is. I think that one is Ter Apel. Can you click it?
This one?
To see? Stadskanaal.
But there's one here.
And Pekela, but I think it's close to Ter Apel at least. Maybe Ter Apel is not a gemeente.
Yeah, could be.
And it's inside.
I know that they were talking about that the refugee center they wanted to build had a big impact on the elections. Yeah, but if you look at all the big cities, they are marked red for GroenLinks PvdA. So this is like the center left party, right?
Oh yeah, Groningen, Leeuwarden.
Or not the center left. They're a bit further left. So like social democrats, I would call them.
Yeah.
But they're slowly becoming center left as time progresses. Green is the CDA, the Christian Union, which, as you can see, still holds power in some of these more regional areas. There's a lot of pink. Pink is just local. So local basically means some local party. It could be left or right. We don't know.
Yeah. This has been a trend for the last 10 years that local parties have been gaining a lot.
Yeah. And then if you look at Amsterdam...
In the local elections as well.
Yeah. Then if you look at Amsterdam, we have the GroenLinks. So that's the green left who won. And we have this very smart breakdown here that we're going to play with, where we can decide to build coalitions.
This is one of the few things that the NOS does good.
Well, yeah.
But that they do well.
Yeah. Reporting on their own elections, thank God. So this is the outcome in Amsterdam, which is the capital city, a huge hub of the capitalist world order, by the way, a huge part of Western Empire.
I mean, it's the foundation of the sort of the financial and the system, some parts of it at least, right? And the capitalist system. Yeah,
absolutely. So that's why I say it's no small thing when I say that we broadcast from Amsterdam, because this is, well, I'm trying to force relevance here, but we are as important as London. And,
the heart of the
Germany,
empire that was.
Yeah, exactly. But still in many ways that is, I would say.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, in the heart of the empire, we have the green left who got 10 seats. They're up 2 seats from last time. Yeah. So this kind of shows a slight swing towards more real left. We have D66, which are the liberals, who still got the second most votes, which is very disappointing. Yeah. Then you have the Social Democrats losing 2 seats, so now they're down to 7. And these 3 together kind of show the left-leaning establishment.
Yeah.
So exactly. So this is what I mean, that the results are unfortunate in the sense that still people who are left-leaning in Amsterdam, majority left-leaning, are voting for left-leaning establishment parties, right?
Mm-hmm. And partly it's because, well, at the local level, we have seen GroenLinks being the biggest party, right? The party that's leading the pack. But on a national level, we've never seen a leftist government. So maybe that's why a lot of people still believe that these parties are actually gonna make a change if they get to power.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we already know that's not gonna be the case.
Exactly. Like what you see here that's already interesting is that PvdA is losing more and more seats. PvdA are the Social Democrats. They used to be in power for quite some time in the Netherlands.
Yeah, they are the Labour Party of the Netherlands, I guess.
And they have they have a big stronghold in Amsterdam. And what you're seeing is that
Amsterdam used to be like a PvdA city almost.
Yeah, 100%.
The whole cultural elite, PvdA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what you're seeing is that they're now down to 7 seats, which is very small compared to the legacy. But the unfortunate part is that the youth, the young people who are left-leaning in Amsterdam and who know that the Social Democrats don't work anymore, are going to GroenLinks, the green left, which are just the exact same shit, but for a new generation.
Yeah.
It is the same thing, but with new colors.
Yeah.
This is... I always get so frustrated because on one hand, you know, also in Denmark we have the Social Democrats, blah blah blah. Also in the UK you have the Labour Party,
and you see what happens.
Yeah, but I have a hard time criticizing them head on, because of how good they used to be once upon a time.
Mm-hmm.
But what is important to note...
the Labour movement was pretty awesome, 50s, 60s, 70s.
Exactly. Yeah. But they got corrupted a long time ago, and we're learning now that we did a segment on the top Social Democrats in Oslo, in Norway, from the 90s, who were clearly Mossad agents working with Jeffrey Epstein, and who brokered the peace deal between the Israelis and Palestinians. So these are high-ranking officials, and they were all controlled opposition, basically. And so the sort of center-left / social democratic wing of the government is complete controlled opposition. And it still breaks my heart that these are the parties, even in a left-leaning city, that are getting the most votes.
Yeah.
And of course, D66, a liberal party, I mean, that is just ridiculous, right?
I mean, if GroenLinks had a chance to do it together with the more extreme leftist party, then probably it would be still decent. But once they have to mix with D66 and PvdA, it's just going to be a neoliberal party.
It's
That's
again,
what it's gonna be.
And that's always how it works, right? You have one faction of your coalition which is slightly more right or slightly more neoliberal, and then boom, all our policies become neoliberal, right? Yeah. That's okay. Then we have the VVD, which is the Party for Freedom, right?
There is freedom and democracy in the name, I believe.
Yeah, so this is kind of like Geert Wilders, but in a different color.
I would say they are what the Tories are in the UK.
Yeah,
it's just that for both the PvdA, which would be Labour in the UK, VVD would be Conservative in the UK. It just used to be that we were a little bit more to the left on both of these parties.
Yeah.
So the Conservative Party was always a bit more to the right than the VVD and also for Labour. And right now, it seems like it's at the same level, actually. Yeah. And you would have to say that GroenLinks is what Labour used to be in the UK.
Yeah, yeah.
And now the Greens are what in the UK are kind of what our PvdA used to be. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's just this overturn window that's shifted that has made it so difficult to actually speak in normal terms about these parties.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we still have one pretty far right party up there. But then the next, here we have the first mention of a truly left party. So this is now we're entering real left territory. PVDD, which is the party for the animals.
Yeah,
they got 3 seats. And then right below them, we have the first mention of the classic conservatives. So this is the Ja21. They also got 2 seats, which is, so it's very nice to see that the conservatives are still out of the picture. Then we have By Een or By One, which is again a real leftist party. Then you have Volt, which is just another liberal scam.
Yeah.
But who present themselves as a real left party. So hopefully these,
they are sort of D66, but the new version.
Yeah. And then we have Denk, who is they're genuine in their anti-imperialism, pro-Palestine, pro-immigration stance, but on economics they're kind of liberal. Then you have the Christian Democratic Union, or
Appel is the word, but I don't know if what the translation would be.
No, it's still Appeal, the Christian Democratic Appeal. And then you have Forum for Democracy, which is another far right, I believe. Yeah. And then you have the Socialist Party with 1. And then our dear and beloved De Vonk did not get a single seat. So those are we interviewed 2 of their candidates, hoping to put them in power. But they didn't make it.
You said it was 0.2%
very close. Very close.
Yeah.
They got 1.5% of the vote, and you need a little more to get a seat. So we were very, very, very close. Now, I just want to offer a moment of clarity and hope for the left movement in Amsterdam and in Europe, because I suspect that a lot of places will have had similar results. The first thing I want to say is Amsterdam is clearly a left majority city. Everyone here agrees that the solution is on the left, and they've known that for a long time. Now, the establishment in terms of the center right, the conservatives, I don't think anyone is going to vote for them in our generation. So they're out of the picture. The center left and the liberals are also going to be out of the picture and are increasingly becoming irrelevant, right? Now, what is unfortunate is that a new generation of Dutch, the youngers, although they realize that the center-right and the center-left are not reliable, they are still in the illusion that something like GroenLinks can solve their problems. Not realizing that GroenLinks are just going to become another controlled opposition party who will not deliver radical change. However, all of the people voting for these 3 parties will at some point be disillusioned after a certain amount of not being able to afford groceries, of not being able to find housing, and of seeing kids being bombarded with your tax money on your social media, at some point they will be completely disillusioned by the system and will be radicalized. The only thing we have to do is make sure that when they get radicalized, they fall into our parties, Bijeen, Denk, SP, Devonk, they come to the extreme left instead of falling for the extreme right. And we have a home field advantage because they are already left leaning. So as long as we stay focused and we have a clear message that everyone can resonate with, we will start to win over these elections.
Yeah,
that's what I believe. So
it is possible.
Full speed ahead to Devonk and
but
all of the leftist
parties. It takes a lot of organizing and a lot of groundwork.
And it takes that we don't do infighting, which is so important.
Yeah.
We already have right here, like if you added all of the extreme left parties together, right? Let's say Bijeen, Socialist Party. I'll include Volt because I think the voters for Volt think that they are.
Yeah.
The Animal Party.
And
And then you add 1% from Devonk. Look, you're looking already at a coalition that represents 25 to 30% of the population here in Amsterdam.
Could they make a majority with GroenLinks?
Let's look at GroenLinks. You're getting close. You're getting close.
Yeah.
And then if you add, of course, the old demo,
the PvdA.
PvdA.
Yeah, then you
clear
get
majority
there for sure.
So this is like a pure left coalition where the two biggest parties happen to be controlled opposition, right? Or are not extreme enough.
Yeah.
But this is no liberalism, no nothing, just a pure left party selection, and we already have a majority. So all we have to do is that when people on the left get disillusioned by the big parties, they come further left rather than falling to the extreme right. Anything else is impossible to convince the people of. They're not going to go back to liberalism, and they're not going to go back to the conservatives because they know from their parents' generation, they know it doesn't work.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. So all we have to do, I'm going to say it one more time, is just we have to be more coherent, more presentable than the neo-Nazis. It should not be that hard. There's a lot of infiltration, which makes it harder.
Yeah.
And we all want to be, 100% purity tested that I'm the most left. But we have to put our egos aside a little bit, work together, and be unapologetic while doing it. Yeah. Anything else? Maybe we should just show the likely coalition.
I do think that I saw our guest walking outside. So
we should go get her.
Should check and
just to finish
this is
one.
Probably gonna be it.
This is gonna be
because
the
this is
liberal
such
left
a classic
coalition.
combo. This is like pasta bolognese.
Yeah.
They will eat it up. This is a safe choice that will give everybody in Amsterdam the idea that we will have a left-leaning gemeenteraad.
Yeah.
And as long as we will have somebody who seems left-leaning like Femke Halsema, the people in Amsterdam will think that they have the local government that they voted for, that they wanted. But we will see that this will not be the case. The only thing they will be able to do is make the city center car free, and that's gonna be it.
Aesthetic things. And we'll have banners that are like diversity is good, but that's about it. And the thing is, when this huge block of people whose parents have voted for the Social Democrats their whole life and who are now voting for GroenLinks, when they get disillusioned, they will have to find somewhere else to go, and that is when we have to be clear as an alternative. We need more radical left.
We need to be standing with our arms open, right? Ready to give them some consolation when they are disillusioned and crying. I thought GroenLinks was gonna fix it all.
Yeah, and by the way, that's what we all went through when we were younger. So we should use your own story as empathy as well.
And have the patience for them to come to this realization a lot later than we are hoping for.
Yeah, exactly. And don't ostracize them just because previously they fell for the system. It's not anyone's fault for growing up in a propagandized society that you fall for the propaganda.
It's gonna be hard, but yes, it's good that we repeat it for my own sake as well.
Also for us. Exactly. All right, we are a completely free, non-funded no profit, no money broadcast based in Amsterdam. If you like what you see, subscribe. If you're watching this live, stick around. We're going to still discuss healthcare in the Netherlands. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you should join the live streams we do every Saturday. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Let's go find this guest. Do you want to stay here?
I have to go to the toilet.
Yeah, we'll be right back. 5 minutes. 5-minute intermission. I'm gonna put a comment in the chat as well so people know. 5-minute intermission. Yeah, or something without getting copyrighted. Yeah, something like that. Okay, we'll be back. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, guys. 5 minutes. Hello. There we go. We're waiting here for our guest to join us in a moment. Until then, please stand by. It will just take 2 minutes. We're getting ready behind the scenes, and in 2 minutes, we will be joined by Martine. Martine? I'm not sure, but she's a labor union organizer. We're going to talk about healthcare in the Netherlands, which is privatized, and why it should be made public instead. Yeah. I'm just thinking if I need to prepare anything before before the guest arrives. Let me check the chat. Let me answer some chats, should I? Hello. Let's see who's in the Pete. Are you still in the chat? Let me know. Let me know what's going on. Let's see. Pete said, "Oops, all bombs." Yeah. Yeah. Or we could do a snow piercer. I don't even know what that means. Can you do a live deciphering of Trump's Truth Social post? Oh my god, yeah, that would be pretty funny. Okay, 1 second. Did the guest come with you?
share as well.
Amazing, and you're back. Sorry for the 5-minute break. Yeah, before we get started, is it Martina or Martin?
I listen to both.
To both,
so
okay.
That's fine.
Perfect. Yeah, but how are you doing? Thanks
I'm doing
for
well.
coming.
I'm
Yeah.
doing well. The weather is nice. So,
Let me help you a bit with that microphone, I think.
Oh, should I go a bit closer then?
I positioned it this time that in the wrong place. If he would have done it, it would have been perfect from the start.
It's
so
always like an issue.
okay. Yep. Right.
How much should? But it's fine like this. The audio sound.
Cool. I have a hard time sitting still on these chairs because they do like this. Yeah.
Yeah, and you wanted me to introduce you as a political commentator, right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can do that, please.
Yeah. Good. I think Ruben, you already saw a lot of Martina's work.
Yeah.
Right?
He said you were gonna come. He just said Martina, and she's a doctor and a labor or a political commentator.
Yeah.
And
I'm not a doctor, by the way, but
okay.
No, yeah, but yeah, I wish, but yeah, go for it.
Okay, but then I didn't know who until he showed like the video, and I was like, oh, I see her a lot of times on TikTok.
Yeah. Cool, nice.
Yeah. All right, then I think we'll just jump into the topic then. So I'm gonna hit record here and do a little introduction.
Cool.
And then we can get into the topics. I also do have the questions here on the screen if you want to read ahead at any point. It's the same list.
And you do you need a drink?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. All right. Healthcare is a serious issue in the Netherlands. It is one of the only countries in the European Union that has privatized health insurance. There is some supervision from the government, but a lot of the healthcare providers still operate inside of the private market. Because of this, a lot of residents in the Netherlands find it very difficult to get adequate healthcare. And a lot of us end up with this question, why is it so hard to get good treatment in the Netherlands? So we reached out to Martina, also known as Marty Does Not Play, on Instagram and TikTok. You can find her on Instagram and TikTok. She does a lot of political content. She's a political commentator, and she covers both labor policies in the Netherlands, the labor movements, specifically inside of the healthcare sector.
Yeah.
And she's also done a lot of content on Palestine and so on. But basically, I invited her on to go through the Dutch healthcare system and try to, in the hopes of getting to the bottom of why it's so hard to get good treatment in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So I think the first question that I've always had, sort of in the back of my mind, is why did the Netherlands never adopt the socialized healthcare system that we have, for example, in Denmark, in the UK, and in many of the neighboring countries?
Yeah.
Right?
I actually also really like this question because when you posed this question to me, I was like, shit, why don't we? You know?
Yeah, there must be some history there.
Yeah, there's definitely some history. Yeah. And it mainly has to do with how our society has been organized. Mm-hmm. So, which is kind of a unique, it's a kind of a unique organization. Like in the early 19th century and early 19th century and early 20th century, our society was divided by pillars. We had a pillarized society. And that was mainly 4 pillars. You had the Catholic pillar, the Protestant pillar, the liberal pillar, and a socialist pillar. And these pillars, they were not just identities, but they were basically like parallel societies.
Okay.
Which is, if you have this knowledge, and I'm going to continue on why this is important and why we don't have free healthcare. Yeah. But I think every time you have a question about the Netherlands, take this information in your head, because it defines a lot of our situation nowadays. So we have these pillarized societies, and these pillarized societies, they were, for instance, they decided which radio station you would listen to, television, which political party you would vote for, but also hospitals. So each pillar had their own hospital.
So you have like a Christian funded hospital.
Mainly before the Second World War. Okay. For instance, OVG here in Amsterdam was a Catholic hospital. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna because it's really interesting actually. This is what happens when you ask me these questions. I go
please do. I just wanted to add, I guess education also was then
for sure, the universities, right? Perfect. If you have that's why you have the Free University, VU in Amsterdam, but also the UvA. It was very much divided. It was very much structured by these pillars. For instance, Radboud in Nijmegen is Catholic. We could do a whole new episode on this as well. But I think this is really important information for every question that you have about the Netherlands.
Right.
So to go back to the question of healthcare, is that after the Second World War, when you had a call for social change, a call for free healthcare, such as in the UK, other neighboring countries, to make that happen in the Netherlands, that would basically mean dismantling these pillars. And these pillars were so institutionalized. On one hand, they were very powerful. A force that could have done it would probably been the labor movement.
Right.
But the labor movement in itself was also, again, divided by these pillars, because each pillar had their own union.
Right, because the Christians still go to work, I imagine. So they also had their own labor movements.
They had their own labor movements. So also the labor movement was very much divided by very much fragmented by these pillars. So that's one part of the answer. The second part is also that this pillarized society also defined which system that we did get. And that is because this pillarized society, it created a sort of culture of how political decisions are made, which we still have nowadays. It's called the consensus model. In Dutch we say poldermodel. And that's that every pillar had its own leader, and these leaders together, they would negotiate and compromise on a decision on how certain,
and just politically. So we have those four pillars, right? So the socialist, you said, the Catholic,
the Protestant, and the liberal.
And the liberal.
You also had the communist, but it was never a full pillar, unfortunately. But it was there.
But I guess they fell a bit with the socialists, right?
Well, the socialist was also social democrat. You know what I mean? It's in the Netherlands. Sometimes there's a big overlap between those two.
And which political parties were those four? Which are the big parties that kind of represent those four?
Oh, you could. So
a lot of them don't exist anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
You have the liberal part, liberal, VVD.
Yeah. Okay. So
liberal.
Mark Rutte's.
Yeah.
So liberal in the more classic sense of the word, not like D66, but more.
Also D66, but that was after
the social liberal.
After these pillarized, because after the 60s, these pillars, they sort of vanished. I mean, they became less important. They didn't vanish, because to give you a personal example, my family met. My parents met actually through a Catholic youth organization. So in the 80s, you still had these sort of the aftermath of these pillars. But so the political party of the liberal pillar was VVD. Socialist would be the
VVD,
SP and the
SP,
Socialist Party, and also the Labour Party. Which obviously you have our opinions about it, I think, which we share. But back at the time, it was a part of the socialist pillar. Then the Catholic was CDA.
The Christian Democratic
Appeal. And then you had the Protestant, but I don't know.
There's also CDU.
Maybe I don't know. It's there's a Reformed Like I have like a Catholic background, so I don't know anything about Protestant.
I believe even CDA is a fusion of different ones, and so I think they kind of combined and split off into different directions because part of the Protestant movement is also the Reformist, right? Yeah. So they ended up in SGP. But then some part of the Protestant did end up in CDA as well, I believe. I'm not sure, but that's what I think.
So to go back to healthcare, is that this sort of like political culture in the Netherlands, which we still have nowadays, that decisions are made by consensus between these pillars. Also, like a consensus basically implies that you make a compromise, right?
Yeah.
So for revolutionary change, which is needed for something as free healthcare, it was like a revolutionary rupture. If you look in the UK with the NHS, it was, you know, like labor movement was really strong, was fighting for it. It was like the revolutionary rupture that you needed. It's sort of, there was like no institutional framework for it here, because it was already undermined by the way we make decisions.
Just because, you could not ignore the other three parts.
Exactly. So the healthcare system that we did get, it became much more accessible for the working class, but it was provided for by basically the wages of workers. Contribution by employers and the state until like 2006, which is the shit show we are in right now, you know. But
they did continue the premiums on like salaries and the contributions by the employers. They did continue.
They did continue
in the new system.
But now again, if you also look at the trend within the labor market, more and more people working as freelance,
right? Yeah,
which also affects the contribution made by employers
for 20-30 years.
Like employers obviously look for reasons to make profit. And you know, the idea of contributing to the healthcare system in the Netherlands, that's not something an employer wants to do. So they look for ways to undermine this and to undercut
this. Which I think, by the way, just as a side note, but that's why free healthcare is actually a very good idea, even inside of a capitalist framework.
For sure.
Because it speeds up, it takes away friction between changing jobs. As an employer, as an employee, you can participate much more flexibly or have more flexibility in the labor market.
But also,
if it's not tied to your healthcare.
But I think the whole topic of healthcare is, for me, more and more, the more I get into it, the more I find it so interesting and important, is because I really think it's on the front line of the attack on public services. It's like the front line. You know, we all need healthcare, right? But who gets to have access to healthcare and who doesn't? It's the front line of public services.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that's why we never got the socialized healthcare system that we have in many other European countries. Now, what do we have instead? So you described a little bit of it there. It's kind of like this mix between, you have some public funding, some private funding. Some of it is tied to your employer. But can you describe just overall, what does the picture look like now?
So it's a weird mix between public and private. It's actually neither public nor private, right? If you would define public as like the NHS in the UK, or for instance in Denmark, and private as the US, it's like in the middle. So what happened basically is that the finances to fund the healthcare is provided by wages of workers, by contributions of employers, a little bit also by the state, but getting less and less and less. And
the premiums we pay.
And the premiums we pay through our insurance company. But the main actor that control the money is the insurance company. They control.
Okay, so you have all of these, like, trying to understand it from a non-Dutch brain, right? You have all of these different streams of funding. Which kind of, you know, okay, so we needed a consensus, so then we said everyone funds it. Both the employer, the private person, the government, all have to fund, which is together.
Also, continue.
And then it kind of converges at some point, which is the health insurance provider. Right?
And they manage the financial flow. Like they decide which treatment gets reimbursed. They decide who gets paid what. They make contracts with healthcare providers. They negotiate with healthcare providers. They even decide where you can go as a patient.
Okay, and this are they private or are they also half private, half public?
So that's also interesting because I mean, I can have like a whole analysis on this, but let me stick to the topic. But so healthcare insurers are by law non-profit, or no, they're supposed to be like they're non-profit organizations,
right?
But
somehow they make profit mysteriously.
They don't. They what they do is they basically they obviously accumulate profit, but they don't share it with like stakeholders in sort of like the traditional private way.
Right.
But what they do with that money, with that capital, is that they use it to feed into the power that they have. For instance, also, like funding research and, like having
lobbying,
a better...
I imagine as well, or lobbying, for example.
Well, they are not supposed to by law.
Okay.
But
they definitely are.
Okay. So they accumulate capital still.
Yeah.
And then they don't...
But they don't share it with like stakeholders or something.
They don't. It doesn't go straight to shareholders, but... Yeah. But they somehow still manage to have a lot of influence because of this capital accumulation.
Like this financial position, definitely, like directly, they're not supposed to lobby.
Yeah.
But
they are actively invited to give their take on policies. So
exactly.
They don't even have to actively invite
They don't even
themselves.
have to do that. They don't even have to lobby. That's strong. That's how strong their position is. And also to give you an interesting sort of take on this as well is that if you take into consideration politics and our government and politicians, there are examples of ministers who were involved in the architecture of this new structure, of this new law in 2006, who were like after this, the buildup of this new structure from 2007, were like Minister of Health, who after that position as Minister of Health became the part of the board of one of the biggest.
So the same there you can have the same as the US, right, with the revolving door policy, we call it, right? So okay, that's quite interesting. And then so you have this private but kind of not private insurer, or let's say heavily regulated private insurer, and then you go, they then
there's two important pillars, right? So that makes it public, I think, is that they have to accept everyone, and for the same price. They can differentiate in price, they have to accept, and also they have to cover the package that the minister puts together.
So that is something minimum amount. So that's something like the government has power of. Which is what is part of like the basisverzekering, like the basic insurance.
But every year they take
they take something out, right? Like for instance, dental care as well. Used to be like
Okay. So then we get to the actual healthcare provider, right? Because so maybe the health insurance company is not technically making a profit, but then they pay the healthcare provider on your behalf, and does the healthcare provider, so that would be you, for example, do you take a profit?
Well, those are private companies, right? For the most part, most healthcare providers are private companies, and I think investors in the healthcare sector in the Netherlands, they are looking for roughly like towards 20% profit margin, which is pretty good.
Of course.
You don't get it everywhere, right? So hospitals only have 1 or 2% profit margin.
Wow.
But if you focus on like smaller clinics, etc., what these investors are doing, they are aiming for roughly 20% profit.
And those profits, just to go back to the insurers, but those profits sit in the hand of the insurers, because the insurers are the one who decide how that money is going to be spent in the industry, and then
even more so, I think the whole structure of like the insurance companies, they created a system in which there's so much pressure to do administration. Like they created a system in which the work pressure within hospitals has become so high that it has become unbearable as well for workers within the healthcare, within hospitals, that there's like a sort of like the framework that our media is using and our politicians is basically like there's like a lack of efficiency, right?
And they use everywhere, by the way.
Yeah, they're used everywhere. Yeah. And then the private clinics, they not only move into this sort of like gap that is emerging because of this new law since 2006. Yeah, that's what you do. They're not only like jumping into this gap, but they're making it much more much bigger. So what you see is that private healthcare clinics who are allowed to make profit and are often owned by private equity companies, they are basically making the healthcare crisis that we are having much worse and making profit of it.
And again, these are private companies, so they are allowed to lobby, allowed to make money. So then there you create a purely American style loop of extracting money from people who need, from an inelastic demand market, right? From people who need healthcare.
Yeah.
And there's some disadvantage for hospitals and other providers like general practitioners because the private companies, they are picking the kind of care that make the most profit.
Right.
So everything that doesn't make a profit, that actually makes a loss, that ends up with the providers that are forced to provide this kind of care.
Right, which are the hospitals.
Yeah, but also like...
Or GPs.
And even like, for instance, if you think about, if you think about a hospital, like the... and in Dutch we say the spoedeisende hulp. I don't know, like the... like emergency care?
I should know it. Yeah, emergency care.
You know, like when you go in and you sort of have like this chaotic...
A&E in the UK.
Okay. So like...
The ER for the Americans.
Yeah, the ER. So that part, for instance, is super expensive and it's not, there is no profit in it. Yeah. Right. So that's a part that private clinics never going to do, right?
Right.
But that's also one, I would say, one of the healthcare, you think about what you need if something happens.
Right. If right now,
like the emergency health,
the ceiling collapses and we also need to go in an ambulance. That needs to be, in my opinion, needs to be socialized. It needs to be organized in a way that it's free and easy and fast. Right?
But private clinics, they take like sort of like the planning, the treatments that you plan and make profit.
Okay. And then so I think we already mentioned a bit about the government control there, but I think overall, now that we have the different pieces, are there key players who are coordinating, the smaller organizations here? For example, this dynamic between the hospital, the insurer, the private clinics, and the government. Is there a group of lobbyists or companies that are coordinating this sort of attack on the public sector? Or is it still very much individual?
So in the Netherlands, it's really difficult to have an overview of lobby groups, which is also very strange.
Yeah.
But that makes it really difficult to answer that question in a sense of lobby groups. But at the same time, I would say regarding like political parties, I would like to answer this from a perspective of political parties. If you look at the law change, right? That basically is that sort of the birth of this
monstrosity.
This monstrosity that we're criticizing now. In 2006, it's CDA, VVD, and D66, which is the exact same parties we are having now in our new government.
Okay, so the centrist coalition, the real neoliberals, pro-capitalism, pro-establishment. And okay, maybe we can answer this question then by highlighting the 2006 law, because you guys referred to it multiple times now, but I don't understand exactly what it did.
So that's basically the law. So when we talk, so before 2006 we had ziektefonds, like health sickness fund. right? Sickness fund,
I guess. The national healthcare fund.
Yeah. And as
was more like kind of like a public healthcare kind of thing.
Yeah. So even though what we said before, it was never like a nationalized healthcare. It was you didn't have to get an insurance to get access to healthcare. You didn't have insurance.
Oh my God, what a beautiful dream!
But it was kind of a hybrid system because you also had particulier. But I was really young when this was still the case in you as well, I think. So I just heard this from my parents, right? That they had to declare, are you ziekenfonds or particulier? And apparently particulier, you did have to pay something extra, but you also got better care.
Yeah, that was for like the rich people.
Wow.
So there was like a sort of like if you wanted better healthcare and you had money, then you could get better healthcare. But there was a sort of access to free healthcare that was subsidized by the wages of workers, by contributions of employers, and by the state. After 2006, that was completely replaced by insurance companies.
Okay. So now I'm understanding. And that law you said was passed by those three,
which is the same government that we're having right now. So buckle up.
And their idea with establishing this new system was that you would have the insurance company, right? You would have the healthcare provider, and you would have the patient, I guess, and maybe the state somewhere in the middle as well. But that it would be a free market with multiple parties that would balance each other. But the balance is completely shifted to the insurance companies. That's one of the big problems.
And I think that's also like, if we're putting some political analysis to it, like it makes a lot of sense. If you don't have any class analysis, then I think you might think like this works, right? Like, if we just...
It's kind of like selling a dream to a baby, honestly. Like, it's like, hey, someone who's like, if you have no political knowledge, but this is all going to work out. And
we're going to sit at a table and everybody's on equal footing. And we're going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya, you know? That was how it was sold.
The big insurance company, in the end, it's like 3 or 4 that control 90% of the market, something like that. So...
Is it? It is a... It keeps. It doesn't want me to talk. Yeah. Did it drop or did I just?
No, I think this one was tight enough.
Okay.
But you were talking. I had this. I talked with Matisse before, and he said that you pointed out about the administration being a burden as well, and it's partly true, I believe, right? Especially when it comes to the bureaucracy that the average hospital has to, create just to be able to do all the declarations, I guess, to the insurance companies. And then you also have the part of the healthcare worker on the floor that's spending too much time on administration, but in this part, it's not so much the insurance company, it's more the general mentality of healthcare providers, that they are very defensive and they have this feeling that they have to register everything they do. It's also a little bit pushed from the management to do it, but it's some sort of conviction that's only partly true that's causing people to over-report, actually.
I will challenge you, so I want to bring our two perspectives and then I'll let you maybe explain it more, but
you had a discussion about this before.
And
now I need to settle the discussion. Okay, let's
give your 2 cents.
So my point of view is that you're coming more from sort of the being inside of the rat race and being, as a worker, you go around and see, why are all my workers, my fellow colleagues, sort of being overly sensitive around paperwork and blah blah blah, and they're kind of bogging themselves down. Now, from my perspective, I will zoom out more and I'll say the rat race is kind of intentionally created. That sort of behavior is intentionally created because people are trying to sabotage the hospitals and the more free, low-cost healthcare providers so that the clinics can earn more. And at the end, whoever is extracting the capital from that whole system, they will use that capital, reinvest it, to make sure that any other alternative forms of healthcare are not good. So that means fostering that sort of mentality of being overly careful around paperwork and all of these behaviors that you're talking about, I think are being they're not organic. Like I don't think it just comes from.
They are created for sure.
I think they're being created by a certain group that has a very clear interest in making money from all of this. And so I'm a lot more focused on blaming them rather than the culture of the doctors, let's say.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, we are people with some autonomy, right? So we can also just stand for something and say, well, we're not going to do it this way anymore because we think it doesn't work and there's no point to it. But with doctors, just like any professional group in this country, there's no cohesion at all. So nobody is able to make a stand.
And I get it, right? Like as a doctor yourself, you're like, hey, I would like to organize or have a say in what we do. You know, we have autonomy. But
politics is such a dirty word in healthcare that it's even harder than in general.
I think the solution to this, because I think both of you are right. I think in your case also, right, that taking in the autonomy of the worker, but also like the autonomy of, for instance, like a council, like a board of a hospital, like instead of sort of complying to what healthcare insurance companies are saying, instead of like pushing back, they just push down to the workers. So there's definitely blame there as well.
True.
But then again, I also really agree with what you're saying, is that there is also sort of like a sabotaging of the good things that we are having. So there is a problem created, a crisis created, in which then again private companies, you know, like that's why probably the microphone is constantly going bad. But so I think both are true in this sense, and I think what you said, like the autonomy, like it's not cohesive, and I think that's where also the solution lies. It's the unionizing of the workers.
So then let's maybe dive into solutions then. So unionizing the workers, but what demands would the workers make, or like what are the maybe we should split into two, right? So like long term, what is the ideal solution, but also short term, what are some quick wins that we might be able to achieve in the next few years? Is it unionizing? Is it on a let's say on the population side to vote for socialized medicine? Or what is what I think let's start with you, but then also
I have a very, this is where it gets down to, I think, because this is what I love to talk about rather than the issue itself. And I think as well as the voting of, you know, like the population, and well as unionizing, and both solutions, or in both sort of like way of going about the problem, unions have a big role. The union has a big role to play. In unionizing of healthcare workers, that's quite obviously what the role is of the union. But also, and this is something that I've been thinking about a lot, but what we see in the Netherlands is that, right, people voting for like left-wing politics, it comes in moments where there is a sort of a social upheaval. Like sometimes when we have election time within like leftist parties, there's like infighting, and we try to take votes from each other. But we seem to forget the moment every time in the Netherlands that the left is winning, all of the left parties are winning. You know, so, and what the situation is in the moment where left parties are winning is that the union has been a big accelerator in creating critique on the government. For instance, in beginning 2000, there was also a campaign by the FNV, the biggest union, Red de Zorg, save healthcare. And that created eventually a big critique on liberal policies. So unions also have a really big role to play in criticizing the government, which then again leads to sort of like tendency of voting left wing.
Yeah, so just having organizing or mobilizing through work allows to have a lot. You can use that as a vehicle for political gains.
Yeah,
generally speaking.
And like the unionizing, it's in the Netherlands. Like what it basically concretely means is that fighting for a better collective labor agreement. Interestingly enough, there is gonna be negotiations for that at the end of the year. They're gonna start again. In 2023. 2023, there was a strike, hospital strike. I think 19 of the 65 hospitals participated. And I know that the FNV, the biggest union, is currently having a campaign.
The medical specialists are also joining in, I believe. But it's still in the air whether it's going through or not.
And like the last collective labor agreement negotiations last year, instead of the 19 hospitals that were striking a year before, 46 out of 65 hospitals were willing to strike.
Right. Okay.
So something is happening there.
And what are their demands? Is it just better working conditions, or is it also more systemic in saying the reason we have bad working conditions is because of this private market pressure?
So that's it's more about labor conditions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then to understand part of the solution is unionizing.
Yeah,
but I use that as a political instrument.
Yeah, but I do would like to defend, because I understand, like ideally we would all want to have like a politicized strike and strike everything down and have a revolution. I mean, if I can say it like
really?
That. Really?
Do you want that? Not me.
So the thing is, the thing is that. I think with this mindset, sometimes within our ideology, if I may say so, sometimes we want to sort of like skip a few steps.
Right.
And as also with my background in labor organizing, like you need to build a base first. And if you go talk with workers, if you organize them, you cannot. The story of sort of like private healthcare, the privatization of healthcare is too big of a story.
Yep. Right.
And you have to first build a base with the issues that they're actually facing day to day.
Yeah.
Which is wages, which is
night
having
shifts.
no break, night, like these things.
Yeah. And once you get
which is labor conditions.
Those wins, right? They're also more attentive to you. Okay. So this structure here, gave me the win of having better working conditions. So now I will be more attentive next time they speak, and also it's easier for me to understand whatever comes next.
And that's where it gets interesting, because then what's needed is political will of the union to take it a step further, which is also related to what I said before with the union creating a sort of space within society to criticize the government and creating a momentum of voting left wing. And the question is, does the union have this political will?
Yeah, we were just discussing the gemeente elections, and I think this is a very beautifully said what you're saying. Like momentum, building wins is very important. In my generation, we have a lot of people who are on the far left, who have a very easy time bashing anyone that is even a tiny bit less left than we are, and who want nothing but a complete revolution by the working class, overthrow everything.
Cute.
It's cute, and we have like incrementality is like it's almost like a forbidden word. Incremental change kind of goes. It's such a scary word for a lot of Gen Z leftists. But I think what you're saying is very nice. That through incremental change, you build momentum. Through small victories, you get the support you need for big victories. And do the work, basically, right? Like,
also do the work. And also, if it was that easy, then it would have happened already.
And like we had the 60s with the whole hippie movement. We had a pillar of society, which was the socialist here. So all throughout the last 100 years, there have been massive worker left movements in Europe and even in the US. So something went wrong there, and I think it's maybe it comes down to nobody really did enough of the work.
Well, yes, but also I think a big part of it was also obviously 1989 and the fall of the Berlin Wall and sort of like the ideological, like
of course.
Losing of the left-wing ideology, whatever that means, But I'm not gonna sort of like the young Gen Zers who are like super enthusiastic. I'm not gonna like. I've been there. I've been there as well. You know what I mean? Like I love the
still
energy.
Sometimes.
I still am sometimes, but in the end, I do want to challenge people who are who consider themselves to be radical. If you really want the revolution that you're sort of like talking about, if you really want that, then that means that you have to organize people. You have to build a mass movement. That means that you have to include people outside your bubble and
super important.
Do me a favor and talk with somebody who works in a factory and try to see if that the message that you're conveying on social media or conveying to your comrades still resonates. Because I can tell you it does not.
Yeah, and I think it's important what you're saying in terms of calling out things that don't resonate.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I will say our job should be surprisingly easy, because you can find a bunch of things that resonate.
Yeah.
For example, we can all say we like, I want better access to healthcare and it should be free.
Yeah.
And that story, as more and more people experience the pains of going through the healthcare system in the Netherlands when you really need it, that story will become more and more relevant to people, and more people will resonate.
Exactly.
with it.
And I think that's also why this is such an interesting and important topic, because we all use healthcare. All of us use healthcare. And the attack on healthcare is the front line of what's happening.
Yeah. So if we say socialize healthcare, right, and we go down that route, without having a litmus test or without putting all these blockers that you might not have the same social policies that I do. You might not be as social as tolerant as I am. You might not want a full communist revolution. Therefore, I can't include you in my movement. Instead of going down that route, if you can say, hey, I don't care what you believe in. If you voted for Geert Wilders or Rob Jetten, I don't care. As long as we all agree on socialized medicine, let's come together for this cause. Yeah. Once you get that victory, then you can launch your next attack, right? Or your next
because
step.
Like there is no way that you're gonna have a revolution with the 10 comrades you discuss your theories with if you cannot radicalize the masses.
Yeah. And last thing, I think, from my perspective, we also said this in the gemeente election part, but the masses will get radicalized because the contradictions of capitalism and so on will radicalize a lot of people. We just have to be more inviting, more coherent, and better organized than the far right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also want to add something also on a positive note on that, because honestly, thinking about the healthcare and where it's going, like it's gonna get so fucking bad.
Yeah.
Like if we think it's bad right now that the GP is gonna send you away with the paracetamol, it's gonna get so bad. Like being involved with healthcare workers, like I don't even like 10 years from now, it's gonna be like, even not 10 years, probably in like 4 or 5 years, it's expected to be code black, which means that departments are gonna close in hospitals are gonna close. It's gonna get really, 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 really bad. Yeah. That being said, speaking from sort of like a revolutionary, opportunity,
optimism,
there is something really interesting happening here, is that after the Second World War and the social welfare system that we've had here in Europe, it is something that it's obviously really nice that we had it, but it's also something that distinguished us from the workers in the global South. And the fact that our social healthcare welfare system is crumbling down also means that sort of our interest in keeping capitalism going is losing, like we're losing it. Why should we have this system?
We're losing our treats.
We're losing our benefits.
Oh my God.
So that means that we let's say, you know, like if it is, it's not going to be that easy. But that means that there is also opportunity for us to be more in solidarity and be more connected with the workers in the global south.
Yeah, I would say this is such an interesting part of my radicalization journey.
Yeah,
I came from a house of Bolivian and Danish, so global south and imperial core, both of them having been left their entire lives. On my Danish side, you know, social democratic voters for 2 generations.
Yeah.
And then I grew up and also thought the solution to everything is social democracy.
Yeah.
And it was my dad, from his experience, that kind of showed, hey, you need to be more extreme than that. But
good dad.
Yeah. Eventually, what clicked for me, it was I don't know who, which theory I was reading, but it was basically that social democracy is actually the biggest weapon to communism.
Yeah.
Because under social democracy, you give just enough cushion, just enough treats for...
You throw them some crumbs.
Yeah, for the working class not to feel the pressure and the contradictions of capitalism enough to revolt. And particularly also when you tie it into global south versus the empire, you also have this dynamic that then those streets are funded by exploitation of the workers in the global south and by extracting resources. And I think this was a huge part of why especially the French Communist Party, the Italian Communist Party never quite took power, because through that exploitation you were able to sustain a public system, a social safety net, which actually does not work under capitalism, but was only you were only able to fund it because you had this extra
exploitation
money,
because of exploitation of workers in the global south.
So there was so much money that you could throw a few crumbs away.
You know, like colonialism and, you know, exploitation of the workers in the global south. So that's it. It's gonna get really bad, but there's also opportunity in it, because the fact that our crumbs are taking away, the crumbs of the working class are taking away, like what's our interest in keeping this society going?
The colonialism and imperialism is going to hit a wall very soon, or we hope, but we're starting to see some of that friction happening with a lot of African nations kicking out European companies. And likewise, capitalism has become so extreme now that even the crumbs are being eaten up by the big top 1% in the top, and when that starts to happen, it creates a massive opportunity for genuine change, for real revolutionary thought. Yeah. Maybe we should end it there. That's.
I think that's a really nice note.
I do have a different solution as well to the healthcare problem still. I also believe there's still another solution besides the socialized healthcare, which should definitely be there. But I also believe that reducing the amount of distance between the healthcare provider and the patient, so not having all these institutions and insurance companies between the doctor and the patient, or the nurse and the patient, it can also do a lot, because a lot of the resources and the money, they are spent right in the middle with these institutions. And it also prevents the healthcare provider from being fully in service of the patient, because they also serve their institution, their employer. And a lot of the unhappiness, at least, that people have with healthcare could be alleviated a little bit if people had more one-on-one contact directly with their providers. And I think healthcare providers should also be more
autonomous.
More brave and autonomous to also be themselves be entrepreneurs in healthcare, and not think of it as this impossible task that's too big. Anyone can start a private healthcare business. If you go to Italy, if you go to Greece, you can just Google a doctor. They are in some office in their home. You go to them, you tell them your issue, you pay them, and
that's true.
You can get what you want. There doesn't have to be all these systems and mechanics in between. Sometimes, yes, for hospitals, very complex care, a lot of resources, but just basic one-on-one doctor-patient care doesn't need all this extra stuff.
Yeah, I think we didn't really discuss the fundamentals of why socialized medicine is better, because I think we all three are already in that agreement. But maybe just one anecdote. interesting to what you're saying with all these institutions in between. I knew someone who just 2 weeks ago found out that she was, I think, a few thousand euros in debt to her health insurance. To her health insurance, and then in order to pay off that health insurance, she had to get a payment scheme, right, from a debt collector. And in order to first understand how much debt she had, she called at least 3 or 4 different offices, who all said, yeah, we don't know. This is how much debt you had before we pass it on to the debt collector. And then that debt collector might have put more, right? And then she gets the payment scheme. And then she calls back to the health insurance provider. And the health insurance provider says, yeah, well, you still have to pay us today the bill that we sent you, because I know that you have this, or we don't know yet that you have this scheme until the debt collector sends us a mail saying that now they are collecting debts instead and have reached an agreement with you. So until that moment, we're not going to stop asking you for money. And by the end of the day, she had called like 8 different numbers, 8 different people, and all of those 8 people have to be paid and are on some payroll. And that is just like, if we didn't pay all of these institutions and people to be collecting money in a private way, we would have more than enough.
And can you imagine that the narrative of the extreme right is that our healthcare is expensive because of refugees and migrants, etc.
It's not. If you don't have to pay for private company profits and all of the money that goes into collecting money.
If the money that goes into collective, that's exactly it. It's just basically mafia, you know.
If you don't have to pay the mafia, basically mafia. Everything is cheaper.
And there's something that could reduce the healthcare cost of refugees a lot, because they do have more, I would say on average, probably a bigger expenditure per person than a native Dutch person that lives here. But a lot of the problems stem from the abhorrent living conditions that they are in, which translates to healthcare
and also
problems.
not having access to direct access to healthcare, so the problems build up, you know. But I mean, the point I was trying to make is just, you know, like we're all like this whole layer of management of collecting money from healthcare, and that's also if you talk with workers in hospitals, in a healthcare sector, they do understand quite well. I think that this whole business sort of narrative within healthcare is what is the big issue, and this whole management layer, and that's where the big problem is.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I think it's clear what you have to do: unionize, organize, and vote. That's still the go-to.
Bring back politics to the work floor.
And if you are a doctor like Ruben, you don't have to wait for others or for the whole system to change. Apparently, you can just go out and implement that change in your own practice directly. Thank you for joining us, Martina.
Cool, thank you for having me.
I think we could have talked about a lot of more topics, to be honest. So
it was really fun.
Let's see, And for the people watching the live stream, thanks for joining us. I think we went for 3 hours almost.
Oh my god!
Yeah, but this is becoming normal now. And thank you, Pete.
And we're not even getting paid for this.
Yeah, that's this is our weekend activity. Thank you, Pete, for putting some comments in the chat. I hope to see you guys soon. Until then, find us on Instagram, TikTok, and everywhere else.